a little bit. I hear you. Jess, let's get you into the conversation. It's good to have you back on the show. What was your thoughts in terms of the divorce conversation between Shon and Ronda? Did you agree with anybody's perspective? What was your kind of thoughts around it?
I think the fact that he mentioned the divorce, it was almost like he was preparing for failure. And I didn't really understand why you would go into something like a marriage, which is meant to be forever, with a sort of like a get out of jail free card. Well, if things don't go well, let's just consider divorce. And it just kind of made me question, is does Sean want to really be with her because he loves her and he sees spending his life with her? Or is it more so because she provides a level of comfort that realistically a lot of women are not really going to put up with? And just taking into consideration the fact that they couldn't really agree on just basic stuff, like, for example, a destination wedding, 13 groomsmen. I know it may sound a bit a bit mean to say it, but it's like they've kind of swapped gender roles. It's like he's the woman and she's the man. And it's like for her, she wants everything to be simple, clear cut, straight to the point. And he's worried about the fine details. And it's like he needs to be worried about a, getting a better paying job, like no disrespect to him, instead of worrying about the details of how the marriage is going to work out on a possible divorce. And it's like I would expect that more from Lorenda's side, talking about divorce, because from what I can see, she's making a bit more of a bigger commitment than he is in terms of their finances. Um, but altogether, it just seems like a mother to son relationship. And I feel like deep down, Lawanda knows that this isn't the man for her on a long term basis. I just think, is she going to really wake up and decide that, before they go down the marriage side, or is she going to force the marriage and then, wait and see what happens? But overall, in terms of the divorce aspect, I don't know. It just doesn't seem. It doesn't seem like a good idea even mentioning it to begin with, and tying into that, like things like divorce, prenups, anything to do with preparing for a demise of a relationship. Are you really interested or ready for that relationship? That's what I thought.
Appreciate it, Jess. Love for that. Good points there as well. I don't know. Do you know what? I just realized as well. I don't know. Is this when I spend too much time with you Americans that even now when I hear British people, I'm like, God damn, we sound so posh. No wonder why they think we talk like the Queen. But yeah, appreciate good points. um, let me get the OG in. Let me get locked and loaded in. Sir, what is your viewpoint on Shon and Ronda, their divorce situation? Because that was probably the major points of their conversation. What was your kind of viewpoints around that situation there?
So what I see that as is Sean just moving the goalpost. We that's what we call that, right? Every time you get a challenge in front of you, you just continue to move it along until it just it's never reachable, right? So every time we talk about marriage, we talk about moving to the next steps in their relationship, it's yet one more hurdle that he knows is unreachable. So in the beginning he said he wanted to be financially stable so that he could do better and different than he saw his father do, because his father was a provider but wasn't there. So he wanted to be financially in a good place so that he could do both. Then we hear about all of this wedding stuff where he wants to have a Disney princess wedding and be a groomzilla in this episode. And then he wants to be Nick Cannon 2.2 and have 7 kids, right? So the math just don't add up, bro. Like, what are you talking about? Finances? You admittedly said that's an obstacle for you, but you want to have 7 kids? Who has 7 kids in this day and age unless you are wealthy? And to me, he said he's not. So he's playing games. So he's going to keep moving the goalposts. Then who has such a stupid conversation? We disagree about divorce. What? Like, what are you talking about? Where is the substance? What's your plan for marriage, right? What are you bringing to that relationship so that you don't get divorced? What are the pillars that you and Loranda are going to stand on so that you have a strong marriage? What is your marriage grounded in? Why are we going from the back to the front? Right? We're going to the end of the marriage, predicting a divorce, to then now agree upon what are the terms to get divorced, right? Prenups, I get that. You need a prenup. Everybody's different. If that's what you want, you two can agree on that. Go for it. right? But we want to have Disneyland weddings. We want to have a destination wedding. You know, what's next? She's gonna pull the garter off of his leg. Like, what are we doing? Like, get it together, bro. Either just be upfront and be honest, say you don't want to be married, and let her be free. And I'm waiting to hear from her, like, sis, when are you gonna get tired of this foolishness? You know, and you hear it a little bit in her conversations with her date Derek. You know, I don't know if we're gonna dive into that, but you know, yeah, that's kind of what I feel. I feel like he's just playing games, moving it along to get along until he figures out his next move.
So is it safe to come out now, or you've been shooting, boy? The bullets are flying everywhere. I was shook for my life. Appreciate you, Ray. Sugar Ray, get involved. Talk to me. What was your thoughts? What was your thoughts on Nick Cannon 2.2?
He's so funny, Nick Cannon 2.2. I love that. 7 kids. You know, my stand still stands the same in regards to LaShawn and LaShawn. Oh my God, I called them LaShawn. Oh my God, that's their name, LaShawn. LaRonda and Shon. You know, it was interesting to see LaRonda on her date. I know she's poised and she loves with one eye open. You know, she's not like Alexia who loves blindly. She loves with one eye open, right? So she's aware of what's happening. She's poised. She knows she's on TV. She's not going to sidestep. So I understand LaRonda. I like her. But just seeing her with this guy, Derek, you could tell that she was a little more feminine. And it's similar to what I was saying about Zach's parents on Put a Ring on It. You know, the mom is a stronger energy and more masculine energy, and the father is more of a, you know, feminine energy. And sometimes relationships are this way. Marriages are this way. The woman is a little bit more masculine. The man comes with a little more feminine energy. But I think what's key for this relationship, and Dr. Nicole said it best. Shout out to Dr. Nicole. She was just spitting gems this entire episode. I loved it. She said, what you focus on grows. Yes. So if we're going to come into this relationship with an idea that there's a possibility that it may not work out, what you focus on grows. What you believe is your reality. So if they go in focusing to nurture, to be servants, not servants, but of service to one another, to love one another, then they wouldn't really have time or energy to think about a divorce. So, you know, and also I think Shon is a comedian, you know, he's playful. I think sometimes he talks off the top of his head, so I'm not really taking him too seriously. But ultimately, I wish LaRonda and Shon the best.
Appreciate that, Ray. Appreciate that. Okay, let me ask another question about the Ronda and Shon to the rest of the panel, and maybe you can answer it first, Ray, if you want. Mm-hmm. You spoke a little bit about the date. What was your sentiment then about the date? Then because I still feel like I'm not getting the full Ronda. Like I still feel like maybe it's just because it's the show, maybe it's just how she is, but I just don't feel like I'm getting the real LaRonda. I'm not saying I need her to explode or anything. I'm just saying, like, I feel like she's got a good frame. Like, she knows how much to show, and that's how much she's gonna show. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's what we're getting. What's your thoughts on the date that she had with Derek?
You know, I can appreciate that, though. I think she's smart. And I think, especially when you're on national TV, less is more, right? So you don't want to be on TV. So I understand her frame and why she's this way. But as I said, I really believe that when she's around a more dominant, a more masculine man, I see more femininity out of her. Even when she's holding back, even when she's holding her frame, I still felt like she was more feminine in regards to Derek. But you know, if a guy doesn't really feel that he can move you in a way, he may not really push or truly engage. He'll just be more of an observant mode. But I think, like, Derek really likes her. I think she feels him. But ultimately, I don't think LaRonda will ever leave Shon. She's not going to leave him. He's safe. She can contain him. She can maintain him. And for her, that gives her